Welcome. This is Shakti Carola Navran with your weekly power astrological forecast for the coming week. So, if you haven't been following me yet, I want to share a little bit about me so you get an idea who I am. And if you relate with my way of presenting things, and to check out my kind of energy, my frequency, because I'm not only an astrology counselor, but I'm also a teacher. So if you relate to the material I'm presenting, that's a wonderful thing. Hello. So anyway, I do most of my work online, and thank God for Skype and FaceTime. It's a wonderful way to connect with people all over the world. And I'm doing this weekly and daily forecast. Hi Paul, good to see you. In order to help you to thrive and to get an idea about what astrology actually can accomplish. Because I'm doing astrology now for almost 40 years. So more I do it, so more passionate I am about it. So part of my intention with these forecasts is kind of to give you an idea really about astrology, what astrology can do, what it cannot do, like the future is not set in stone, so it's not about fortune telling. And I want to kind of pass back the interest for astrology. For me, astrology has become a spiritual journey, actually. A journey of self-inquiring and having a certain perspective to witness my own life to unfold and that of other people. And that is very, very powerful, because all the choices, all the reactions we have to what life brings into our field is based on our state of consciousness. So in all these years, I haven't found a better method or way to have that high wisdom perspective and to connect with my own inner guidance and my own soul. And I want to give you a little taste of that. So I'm doing this weekly forecast every Saturday at noon on this Facebook page. I'm doing little 1 minute practice astrological awareness, as I call it, for every day. So just to give you kind of a little moment of time to get prepared for the day. So I am what they call an evolutionary astrologer, and as that I look at everything in a personal birth chart from the perspective of evolution or karma. So of course we are, at least in my perspective, we are eternal souls. We're going through this constant process of evolving and moving into higher states of consciousness, hopefully. Sometimes it seems like it's 2 steps forward and 1 step backward, but maybe that's how we learn. So with discussing what's coming in the week, I think you will be better prepared and you will have better choices at your hand. So I have no doubt about that everybody lives their chart, but the question is always, is it more on the low end of possibilities of manifestation, or is it more on the high end of possibilities of manifestation? So when we do forecast readings, we look at what's going on in the heavens right now. And then, of course, we are interested and concerned about how that relates back to us as individuals. So for that, you would want to know your own personal chart. So a reading gives you really kind of a deep understanding of that. But you can also just go to my website, mauiastrologyreading.com. There, at least you will get a free print out of your chart. So you will know your moon position, your ascendant, and where all the other planets are. And you get a gemstone report for the best stone for your heart, to help you to heal, to open your heart, to feel that connection. So if you sign up for my newsletter, you will get access to the program, and you can put in your birth information, which is a great point to start. Okay, so I always try to condense what's happening in the coming week into some really understandable ideas. So I don't want to overwhelm you with astrological Babylonian. So I will name the principles, especially when I go towards the end of the video through each day. But I really intend to give you an overview, a feeling for the coming week. And Saturday and Sunday is more free of work day. Especially Sunday might be a wonderful day to listen to this again and contemplate and set your intentions for the coming week, and set your intentions to ride the wave, the celestial wave, on the high end as possible. So the coming week we have 3 powerful events. So first of all, Chiron, the wounded healer, is turning direct. So that's a strong change in the flow of energies around healing, and I'm going to go deeper into that. We also have a new moon coming up in Sagittarius, and a new moon by definition is kind of a new circle of evolution, a new beginning, and that start point in whatever sign it's happening. It's kind of coloring the emotional maturation and awareness we're going throughout the week. And then the planet Venus, the goddess of love, harmony and beauty, is moving into Capricorn, the sign of solitude and maturation, the wise elder. So these are pretty important events. So I will talk a little bit about what to expect. But then, of course, we have the moon shifting sign every 2 to 2.5 days. So even if this is happening so fast and is over so fast, therefore, the moon in the sign is kind of our emotional focus and filter to the world. So the moon is our inner world, our right brain access to our environment. So often we feel, especially these days with everything what's going on in the political landscape, we feel very impacted by what I call the morphogenetic field or the collective consciousness. And it does help to know what's my own stuff resonating here and where do I pick up into that morphogenetic field. So if you continue to listen to my presentations, you will not only learn about astrology over time, but you also will get a sense of how to apply those principles I'm discussing. And that way you can move higher and higher in the choices. And I believe this is what we're here for, to really grow and expand and raise our consciousness. And with that, we're contributing back into the morphogenetic field, and that is really our point of power. Okay, let's go to Chiron. So Chiron turning direct. Chiron, the story of Chiron is he was an immortal, he was a centaur, and he got poisoned. There are different stories out there how that happened, but nevertheless, because he was immortal, he couldn't die. So here he was, this immortal being in a lot of pain and a lot of suffering, and he had to deal with it. I mean, if you can't even die to get out of pain, you have to deal with it. So in our chart, Chiron represents where we have that wound we are actually quite aware of. It's like having a migraine or a toothache. It's like no way around it. It's there. It's in your consciousness. So he was already known as a healer before he got poisoned. So after that healing process he went through, he actually managed to heal himself, of course. And then he was known as the compassionate healer, the wounded healer. And he was also known as the mentor of the children of the gods. So Chiron is the archetype for healing and integrating. And out of that process, he became a teacher, a mentor for others. And that gives us an idea what Chiron really wants us to do. It's really about understanding our own self, our own journey, and to take active steps in that. So while Chiron was going retrograde, it was revisiting certain degrees in Pisces where it's in. So with any retrograde planet, the revisiting of degrees the planet has already been in before is kind of a chance to deepen things. Like we get a second chance to work with the principles and the energies in our life. So because Chiron is so connected to that wound we all carrying, now that it's moving forward and we have done the revisiting of things, now things might fall into place in the way of healing. And if you had physical problems, now suddenly you might find solutions. You might meet somebody, read something somewhere which gives you an idea where you want to move and how you can truly heal yourself. And because Chiron is in Pisces, the last sign of one circle of evolution, so Pisces is all about our connection to the all that is, the oneness consciousness. So I often talk about how we all can use that metaphor of we are a wave in the ocean. And by definition, the wave is the ocean, part of the ocean. So usually we're only identified with the top of the wave, and we are not even often in contact with our own subconsciousness, or even connected with all that is, the collective unconsciousness, the morphogenetic field, or as I call it, the divine. So Chiron in Pisces now moving forward this week is really an invitation to do true healing work by letting go of those false identities and the idea that we are only the top of the wave. And as Carl Jung was describing, that's only 5 to 10% of our consciousness. So basically what the Chiron journey through Pisces is all about is to really raise our consciousness, to connect our self-identity and move that point down to where the wave meets the ocean. And that's a very powerful place to be, because yes, we are still a soul, an immortal soul incarnated in a physical body, but we also are the ocean. So that's why I like to keep using this metaphor, because it's so powerful. So Chiron will be in this sign of connecting with our true nature till March 2019. So the healing work Chiron wants us to do really has to do with proper alignment with the truth of our self-definition and who we take ourselves to be. So all what is ailing us in our individual process and our wounds and our pain and our suffering could be related back to that problem by only being identified with the top of the wave and holding that perspective of being separated and not connected instead of feeling connected to all that is. So this is actually where ultimately healing is happening in that perspective. So, okay, let's see. So the new moon in Sagittarius is happening November 29th at 4:18 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I did do an extra video for you for that, so you can find it on my page. I'm going to put up more links about it. So because it's such a powerful point in the evolution of the months, it's very helpful to actually be aware of what the new moon wants us to start into with, and the full moon when kind of everything is flowering and becoming very, very conscious. So Sagittarius, just to give you a little bit here, is a sign of fire, is a sign of wisdom perspective, is a sign of expanding our consciousness into understanding ourselves from a more evolved perspective. And the new moon wants us to evolve and push those emotional boundaries we holding ourselves in, and grow. The underlying thrust of that is we feel optimistic, we feel expanded, and we gaining more faith than what's happening right now in the world has to happen for some reason, even if we can't understand it quite yet. So that's kind of in a nutshell what the new moon is about. So the Chiron turning direct is December 1st. And both of these kind of events, if you have any planets in Sagittarius or in Pisces, then that will impact you very strongly. That's how we relate the transiting planet, which are where they're up there in the sky right now, how we relate them back to your individual birth chart and see how they impact and influence us. So Venus, the third planet, stepping into a new sign, into Capricorn. So Capricorn is the elder, the mature being, the one who likes to serve and help others. But it's a winter sign. It's a sign of solitude and concentrating on what's truly essential. So with a relationship planet in that kind of sign for a while, we might feel more empowered in who we are and what we have to give in a relationship, because we will feel less dependent. We will really step into our own sense of self in our heart. And when we step from that place of empowerment into a relationship, that's where that elusive balance can happen. So in a relationship we can fall off the wagon, as I say, in two ways. Either we can be too compromising, too much into harmony and peaceful relation that we give up a lot of our own needs in order to compromise, or we are too egoistic and ego-centered. It's all about me, me, me. So on that side of things, there is no ability to compromise and truly do a dance. So right now, with the Venus stepping into Capricorn, I believe there is a chance to find that balance where that dance and can happen, and that's based into what I call friendship. And the Indian mystic Osho Rajneesh, he used to say friendship is the highest level of frequency you can achieve in a relationship. And I agree. It's usually a good thing to have that ground to stand on in your relationship. Okay, then we of course have the moon going pretty fast through signs. So moon enters Sagittarius on Monday. So today it enters Scorpio. Then it will go into Capricorn in order to conjunct the sun, and then we're having the new moon. And then end of the week it will be the moon in Aquarius. So we now will only have one retrograde planet left, which is Uranus, the rebel. And my prediction is that when Uranus turns direct, a lot of what's grumbling now, a lot of revolutionary forces will really come into flowering. So people will get together and find ways to make their voices heard. And I believe that's a wonderful thing. Okay, so I'm also a gemstone expert, so I wrote a book about jewelry and gems for self-discovery. Let me see if I have it somewhere. Yeah, this is my book. So actually it's an introduction into astrology and how we can use gemstones to support and balance our emotional sense of self. So I will discuss, after I go through the days, a new gemstone and how we can use those gemstones in order to balance our emotional bodies. And this is how I look into the world right now, the most important thing. How we can balance ourselves out of fear, anxiety, negative projections into the future, because it just strengthens the shadow aspect, the darkness. So we need to focus on positive goals. We need to focus on where we want to go. And that's why I think astrology is so powerful, because it really gives us a range of possibilities, and then we can set our intentions properly. Okay, so today, the 26th, Moon enters Scorpio. It was quite an intense week last week, and that will include today, because when the Moon is in the intense sign of Scorpio, we tend to go deeper than usually. We feel deeper. We might experience more drama today. The high-end side of it is there is a willingness to be truthful, a willingness to take that deeper look, and a willingness to address those inner weaknesses and wounds we need to address. So, very emotional day with the Moon in Scorpio. And when we go back to the metaphor of the wave, the Scorpio relates to our unconsciousness. So something might pop up today or tomorrow we haven't actually been as aware of. So this is how astrology can serve us. It keeps our inner witness to even be aware when something like that is happening. So astrology really can speed up your journey of evolution and growth. So that's why I love it. Okay, so Sunday, besides that, the Moon is still in Scorpio, and it's gonna square Mars at some point. Otherwise, there are some harmonious other aspects and connections in the heavens. So still there is that invitation to go a little deeper, to take that deeper, honest look onto ourselves, maybe onto how we relate with others, our relationships, our friendships. So yeah, Sunday is really that kind of day where we can really take the time to allow our mental busyness, our monkey mind, to settle down and to ask certain questions, and to just hang out and do nice things with friends and family. So Monday, the energy turns, Moon enters Sagittarius, and I remind you the Sun is still in Sagittarius. So Sagittarius will really, that Moon there will shift the energy. So I think Monday, even if it's a Monday, we have to start to work again. I mean, you might. I work throughout the weekend. Being self-employed, you don't really have free days like that. So anyway, Sagittarius opens us up to faith, to that inner sense of optimism. Life is good, and we want to participate and add some goodness to the world. And this is so important in the world we're living in today. So that's the energy of Monday. There is an opening, more passion, more fire, energy to go about life. So what a wonderful start of the week. Then Tuesday, that kind of culminates with a new moon in Sagittarius. So a new moon, by definition, is a new start of that journey throughout the months and throughout the zodiac. You can think about it that evolution is a spiral. So each month it's kind of one slate out of that spiral. So this month's emotional maturation process is in Sagittarius. So we're asking meaningful questions. We want to know who we are in this world and how we can truly contribute and make a difference. And there's so much need that we all ask that questions. So That's a new moon. Wednesday, the 30th, we have the Sun square to Neptune. I talked a little bit about Chiron and Pisces in the beginning. So Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, and the Sun is our consciousness, how we act in the world, how we shine into the world. So when the Sun is squared by Neptune, the mystic, the connection to the ocean, to the ultimate luminous consciousness, it brings that into our individual way of perception. So that can be very, very powerful and a very spiritual integration. So that energy kind of will be there throughout the week. So it's a good idea to find some ways to tap into the ocean. So that's Neptune, the ocean. So Neptune inspires us, that connection. So creativity is one way to tap into the ocean. Any kind of meditation, slowing down, going for a walk. I read an article the other day that when we walk, actually the right and left brain connect more, and this is why we have sudden insights and ideas. So we are in a more balanced, more expanded, maybe even altered state when we walk. So the Neptune is that invitation to integrate more spiritual dimensions and a higher perspective into who we are and how we express ourselves throughout the week. Then on Wednesday too, there is a moon conjunction with Saturn and a moon conjunction with Mercury later in the day. So Moon, Saturn, they are a challenge together. Saturn on the low end confronts us with fears, anxieties, limitations, blockages. So when that happens emotionally, we feel quite vulnerable. So that might be a day where we feel more on the low end side of things and impacted by what's happening in the world. And to tell you the truth, I have to be very careful what I read and expose my mind to. And I can tell when I haven't been conscious enough how it impacts me. So that's the whole thing with Mercury, to really become aware what you feed your mind, your consciousness. I mean, we kind of halfway aware these days what we feed our body and to have alive and healthy food instead of processed stuff. So I've talked about that before, and I'm sure you are quite aware of that. But the question is, how aware are we what we feed our mind? How mindless do we get in front of the TV for hours and the books we read? So I am super picky and careful, because I want to make sure what I put into my mind, into my consciousness, helps me grow and not lower my frequencies. So this is a good week and a good day to practice that. Years back, before we were all on iPad and iPhones, I actually once in a while challenged my listeners and clients to take a week, imagine a week off the devices. And I couldn't even propose that these days, because we all so much slaves of our gadgets. But what an interesting concept. Imagine, can you remember the times before you had your iPhone and your iPad and all that information at the fingertips? So I'm not really expecting you to take a week off, but I suggest that you become very picky and very conscious what you really put into your consciousness, into your mind. Hi, Diane. Okay, so Thursday, Moon enters Capricorn, and the next day, on Friday, Venus enters Capricorn. And also Thursday is the 1st of December, so Chiron turns direct. So we already discussed that a little bit. With both female symbols, Moon and Venus, in Capricorn towards the end of the week. So this is a day to really connect with some kind of emotional clarity and independence. We already talked about that. So Capricorn is the wise elder, the wise woman, the wise teacher. So Capricorn is that part in us where we can rest, where we know enough about life, that we have a little more mature perspective how to relate and be in the world. So with both female planets in Capricorn, this relates very much into the field and the arena of relationships. How we show up, what we expect, how we express ourselves, how we dare to ask. And remember, in order to have that balance, you need to show up. You need to be able to express yourself and ask for what you need. But you also need that ability to make compromises. So this is a dance we all do in our relationships. And then on Saturday the 3rd, Moon enters Aquarius. Aquarius is the sign of the rebel. So this is a day where we don't want to conform, where we have our own way of doing things, where we feel more spunky and independent. And Moon in Aries is always a good chance to feel as an individual, to feel colorful, to feel quite comfortable with being different and out of the mainstream. Okay, so you guys can get prepared for your questions. So even if you listen to this recording later on, you can always ask me questions in the comments. Don't forget to like me and sign up for your newsletter, and if you're on YouTube, sign up for for my channel, so I can keep you in the loop with my updates. Gemstones. So we have been discussing moonstone, rose quartz, Herkimer diamond, and amber the last few weeks. And I would say they're still all beautiful stones to work with and have in your energy field. So today I want to talk a little bit more about the amethyst, because amethyst is related to Pisces and Neptune, and there's so much of that energy in our fields this week. So healing that individual perspective into the oneness perspective, that is what amethyst can help us with. So here I have one of my favorite. You can see it's a very dark one, but isn't that a beautiful one? So I know amethysts are actually quite affordable. So you have seen these drusies with all the sparkling tips. I used to have a huge amethyst drusi when I still had my crystal and jewelry store in Germany, and people who didn't believe in the power of gemstones, but they were kind of on the fence and interested. I always said, stick your hand into that drusi, and I'm not kidding, it feels like an ultrasonic, like bing, 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 bing. So very strong. And when you have a big drusi, I used it as a way to cleanse the store and all the energies coming through there. And I always got a kick out of it, like people put their hands in and whoop, what's that? So when you have this big drusi, and I've seen them in Tucson on the Tucson show, like a bathtub size, so you could even lay into it if it's not too prickly. They're very powerful. So the brother or sister is a sugilite. You can tell it's a violet stone with some kind of iron veins in there. So while amethyst is kind of opening our crown chakra to connect with the field of oneness, of connection, of ocean consciousness, so amethyst kind of connects us with that higher perspective, And sugilite is a stone who brings it in. So sugilite is a stone which can be truly helpful to help us to manifest the divine and bring it through our physical vehicle, our temple in this world. So I actually always have this one I play with, especially when I do my talks and readings for people. So it just helps me to bring in the information and that higher wisdom perspective. And the truth is, the wave is the ocean. So we just have to remind that and learn how to really live from that place, from that perspective. Okay, so that is the gemstone. Let's see if we have any questions here. Okay, it doesn't look like it. Okay, thank you so much for visiting and sharing your time with me. I really appreciate it, and I hope this is helpful for you, because it takes quite some focus and discipline to keep doing this every week. So I do need to hear your feedback and your comments and see your likes, so I really have the sense I'm doing something good here. So you can always connect with me, ask questions under the video, or write me an email. I love to have that sense of connection with all the other waves in the ocean. Okay, thank you, Paul. All right, my dears. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and namaste, or as we say here on Maui, aloha. Make sure you go over to my website and sign up for your newsletter so I can keep you in the loop with updates. Okay, aloha, and see you soon.